Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know yet, I'm actually in my third trimester right now. So today I'm going to share an update about how this second pregnancy is going. I have to admit it's a wild ride, especially when you have a toddler around, and it's definitely very different from my first pregnancy. So let's get into it. So I'm filming in the car. I just dropped off my toddler in the daycare, so I have a little bit of time to film before I go and do something else. So there's three parts to this video. The first part will be first trimester experience. Then I'll talk about second trimester experience, which is very different. And the last part will be some questions and answers that I got from you guys on my Instagram. So let's start with first trimester. The struggle is real. I kind of forgot how it feels throughout my first pregnancy because there's no toddler around. I do get nauseous and stuff in my first pregnancy, but I don't remember it being so bad. So the nausea started at week 5. And it felt so much worse than my first pregnancy. But thankfully, I didn't actually throw up. It's just nauseous. I just couldn't eat anything at all most of the time. So I eat really little and I even lose weight in the first trimester. I remember the first pregnancy, I lost weight as well in my first trimester because I've been quite active. But this time round, my nausea is a lot worse. I was also feeling really dizzy for this pregnancy. Imagine being on a boat, getting seasick. So that's basically how I feel every single day after 4 p.m. Around 4 to 9 p.m., I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't function at all. So it's really, really difficult time. And those hours, it felt like I'm on survival mode. I tried everything I can that can help ease the nausea. So I tried ginger candy. I tried pickles, lemon honey, anything sour, citrus fruit. Nothing actually helps this time round except high chew candy. Those high chew candy actually saved my life, even though they're not very healthy, but when I take them I feel much better. So when I really need to, I'll just take a few. It helps ease the nausea a little bit. Usually it's after 9 p.m. then I'll feel a lot better. My nausea feel better and my dizziness feel better too. So that's when I will have some light snacks, maybe some nuts. Sometimes I'll have hot chocolate, just peanut butter toast. As for cooking, it's the toughest thing in the world in the first trimester. I couldn't cook most days, so we have to do takeaways. Some days when I feel better in the morning, I will try and cook the dinner during the day, so at night I can just heat it up for my husband and Bella, and usually I don't eat dinner with them because I just couldn't. But most of the days I will say we will have to go for takeout. My husband, he can only cook breakfast. Some days when I woke up in the morning I feel really dizzy or I don't feel good, and then he will sort out the breakfast for Bella. Unfortunately, he's not a great cook. He's really good at cooking steak though. Other than that, not really. So if your husband can cook, make sure you take full advantage of that one. Sometimes I do feel guilty for not cooking, especially for Bella, because when you get takeout, sometimes she didn't really like the takeout food. We try to get mainly Japanese food, and that's what Bella enjoys the most at the time. But I just keep telling myself it's just temporarily and I will get better. In terms of exhaustions, I will say it's also worse than my first pregnancy. I actually didn't feel exhausted or tired in my first pregnancy. I'm not sure if it's because I've been active. I was really active in my first pregnancy. I can work all day. I can go to the gym. I feel fine. But this time, I feel like a complete different person. I think it's also I have a toddler to look after as well. So it's really exhausting even when I'm not pregnant. So I had to give up many of my usual tasks that I do, such as housework, content creation, and even my hobbies like exercising and reading. A lot of the time I had to take nap with Bella, which usually don't happen. Usually I make use of her nap time to do either houseworks or to film or to edit, do some work, but this time I had to nap with her. Also, some nights I had to sleep as early as 9 p.m., which never really happened to me. I know it's probably normal for some of you to sleep at 9 o'clock, but not me. I'm a night owl. I usually sleep around 12 to 1 a.m. That's the normal time for me to go to bed. Not saying it's healthy or anything. That's just my routine usually. So when she goes to bed at night, I could get some things done as well. But in my first trimester, I couldn't do any of that. Most of the time, I try to just sleep as much as I can. Otherwise, the next day, I couldn't do anything at all because the next day, I still have to look after Bella. Some of you have messaged me and say you notice big slowdown in my content and I don't post as much anymore. So this is the reason why. I don't know how some moms do it, to be honest. It's really difficult. I think you really have to sacrifice one on another. So for me, I don't really want to sacrifice my time with Bella. This pregnancy, the house basically a mess. I don't post as much anymore. Taking out food has become our best friend. I guess that's okay for now, even though I do feel guilty sometimes, but I know it's just temporarily. It was a difficult period and we just get through it. I don't really have special tips to help if you're going through the same thing. I would just say hang in there. If you can get help from anyone, just get help. We don't really have help here. It's just me and my husband. Once in a while, my parents or my in-laws, they will visit us from overseas, but it's just for a few weeks. Most of the time, it's just me and my husband. So we just take things slowly. And one last symptom I experienced in my first trimester was night sweat and poor sleep. I didn't get that in my first pregnancy. And this pregnancy, first trimester, I get that. And it was really weird. I wake up drenched for no reason in my first trimester, even though it was cold, even though it's winter time, keeps me awake at night. I couldn't get a proper sleep at night and I just don't feel refreshed when I wake up in the morning. So that was something I got this pregnancy that I didn't in my last pregnancy. Now, moving on to second trimester is a very different kind of challenge. So I will sum up my first trimester as a physical challenge. But second trimester, I have to say it's more like a mental challenge. So by week 13, I started to feel much better in terms of nauseous. I don't feel as sick anymore. I start to eat a little bit more, a little bit better. But I did get food aversion, which also I didn't get in my first pregnancy. I couldn't stand meat, especially chicken, fish, and seafood. And I do have cravings as well. I crave for potato chips, which is French fries, by the way, not the bag of chips. We call it chips in Australia. And I crave for popcorn sometimes, which I don't really eat popcorn normally. And I crave for most of the sweet stuff. And I've been loving my avocado toast, even right now in my third trimester. That's something healthy in my cravings, I guess. And I think it's around week 17 to 18, my appetite went back to normal. But I did get acid reflux. So I couldn't eat much food at once. I had to eat in small meals, and certain food actually irritates my stomach more, so I had to limit myself with those foods such as spicy food, creamy dishes like creamy pasta, curry dishes, anything with curry, anything with coconut milk. Coconut water is fine though. They all made my acid reflux worse. Another thing I started feeling in my second trimester is how quickly the bump is growing. I don't remember seeing a bump in my first pregnancy until I was around 18 to 20 weeks. But this time, I think I saw a bump around 13, 14 weeks. I felt bigger and also a lot more bloated, especially by the end of the day. The bump also feel a lot heavier and it feels really low compared to my first pregnancy. So I'm having another girl, in case you didn't know. Bella's gonna be a big sister and she's gonna have a little sister. So I did ask my OB and midwife about this and they assured me that it's completely normal to feel more pain, more discomfort, and you feel heavier, you just feel lower in your second pregnancy and so on. And of course, every pregnancy is different. I guess that surprised me because I always think that the first one will be the hardest and then the second is gonna be easier, which is not the case for me. I think around week 23, I developed a really bad hip, lower back pain kind of thing. I think it's called pelvic girdle pain, but it's only on one side of my hip, which is the right side. I think it's because I carry Bella on one side a lot, kind of makes one muscle stronger than the other, so I got pain on one side. It became so intense that I couldn't walk properly. I struggled to walk. I couldn't lift heavy stuff, so that means I couldn't lift Bella anymore. So I had to stop carrying Bella. This was a difficult adjustment for both of us. She would become really upset whenever I say I couldn't pick her up. I feel bad for her, of course, but I just couldn't, and it's just gonna make my pain so much worse if I keep doing that. So I really have to just stay firm and just tell her I couldn't, especially when just me and her going out. A lot of the days when she's not in daycare, I'm the only one that's bringing her to activities. It's a difficult few weeks. It took a few weeks to adjust, and it's really frustrating for both of us. There is a lot of crying going on during those weeks, but we managed to adjust, and I'm grateful that now she finally understood and she's happy walking all by herself, or if she's tired, I'll just bring the stroller, just push her around. And last thing about second trimester, but a lot of my mom friends told me that your toddler is going to get really clingy when you're pregnant. It just depends on which part of your pregnancy, and I think for me, around mid to the end of second trimester. Previously, she's totally fine with her daddy. She's happy in daycare. During drop-off, she's happy, and then pick-up, she's always happy. And then suddenly, towards the end of second trimester, she started to refuse daddy altogether. So she only wants mommy, doesn't want daddy to be around her. Poor daddy. But so they told me it's a phase. It is a phase. So now I'm in my third trimester, and she is a lot better now. She's fine with her daddy now, but those few weeks where she's really clingy, it wasn't easy. She would cry whenever I leave the house. Sometimes I have to go to doctor appointment by myself, and my husband would watch over her, and she would do a big cry whenever she see me leaving. And she's been really good at daycare drop off for the past few months, I would say even half a year, and all of a sudden she just started crying whenever I drop her off. It was really hard for me to see her like that, especially being pregnant as well. I was just praying that it's a phase, and luckily it is a phase. She's so much better now, but it was really hard to see her like that. So what I did during those weeks when she's really clingy, I just keep assuring her that mommy will always come back. Even though sometimes mommy might not be here for a few hours, but mommy always come back. So I just keep saying that to her, and I give her long cuddles when I drop her off or before I leave the house. And I will always say goodbye to her. I will never just sneak out so that she didn't know I'm leaving, because that will actually make things worse. So it doesn't matter if you are pregnant or not, if you are leaving your child somewhere like a daycare or school or grandparents, and you just leave them and sneak out without saying goodbye, it will cause really bad consequences. So I will always say goodbye, even though I know she would cry. I will always assure her that I will come back when I say goodbye, and I'll give her long cuddles, and I will let her see me leave. I will never sneak out. It's not easy, it's gonna be hard, but it won't make her feel like I will disappear anytime. So with all this thing happening in second trimester, I would say, to sum it up, second trimester is more like a mental exhaustion. It's mentally challenging, and by the end of the day, I'm still exhausted. Even though I don't feel as tired in second trimester, I don't feel nauseous anymore, but I'm just mentally exhausted. Like my brain is fried. Looking back, if you ask me, I would say second trimester is probably a lot harder, maybe. First trimester, it's hard physically, but mentally, I feel okay. There's not a lot of mentally challenging moments in the first trimester. I would say personally, I'm really bad at mentally challenging things. So now let's move on to the questions and answers. So the most asked questions, of course, is how do I handle a toddler while being pregnant or in my first trimester? Well, I will say I just did it. I don't really have a choice. If you have a choice, you can put them in daycare more. If you have a family, you can even ask for help, but we don't have anyone, and we don't really want to increase the daycare days. So she's going twice a week for now, and it's been like that ever since she started when she was 1 year old. And the other days, I'm the one that look after her, and of course the weekends my husband will help. Yeah, we just don't feel like increasing her daycare days. It's just we want to spend more time with her, and those other 2 days is just more so I can get some things done, some work done. And definitely, I won't lie, it's not easy. It's really tough to be pregnant and looking after a toddler. I will say I get frustrated more easily when I was pregnant, especially in the second trimester. The first trimester, I'm actually quite calm. I don't know what's going on with the hormones there, but first trimester, my hormones seems fine. I was quite calm, even though I feel really tired and I feel nauseous most days. I don't get frustrated that easily. But second trimester, everything was just so mentally challenging. I get frustrated so easily. Some days I just need time for myself to be alone, to just cool off so that I won't go crazy. I remember there was one time in my second trimester, I think it was like early, probably mid second trimester. I have a little bump already, and I'm also starting to feel my pelvic girdle pain. And I was out with Bella all by myself, and she was having a meltdown in the restaurants, and I couldn't stand it, so I just said, let's leave. We have to get out of here now. And she doesn't want to leave, and it just escalated so badly. Even though I was in pain, I had to carry her to the car, and I had to carry some bags of groceries as well. It was really difficult, and we just both ended up crying in the car together. She was screaming, of course, because she's having a meltdown. She's screaming in the car, and I was just crying in the car with her. I think she's also going through something as well, and she couldn't control her emotions that time. So the best thing I can do is just we both get out of that place. We were eating halfway actually, and I had to get takeaway. I think that was the toughest moment in my pregnancy, but we just had to get through it, just like anything in parenthood. So if you are going through something similar, just know that you're not alone. It is not easy to be pregnant and having a toddler running around. So the next question is, how do you co-sleep while pregnant with your toddler? Well, I thought co-sleeping will be hard as my bum grew bigger, but it was actually okay because we have 2 queen beds, which I think helps a lot. If you have small bed, of course, I think you'll struggle because the way toddlers sleep is just crazy. She could just spin around one whole queen bed for the whole night, and me and my husband in the other queen bed. So she basically have one queen bed all for herself. I think it's manageable for us thanks to our big bed. So it's not really an issue for us. Though I think if you have a small bed, it might be difficult. So the third question is, what is Bella's reaction about baby's news and how do we tell her? I think we told her when I was around week 7 pregnant, and we brought her along to my first ultrasound when I was week 8. She was really excited. Her face lit up when she saw the ultrasound, the baby in the ultrasound. I'm not sure if she fully understand, but I think eventually she did. And we also got her a lot of baby books, a few big sister books that explain what it's like to be a big sister. And she's loving it so far. And she's really excited about being big sister, I think. We also got her a gender reveal cake around week 12 or week 10. I think it's week 10. It's like a little surprise. I don't think she cared too much about the gender, to be honest, but she's just excited about the cake. But I think all these little activities that we did with her makes her feel like it's really exciting to be a big sister. So it's more like include your toddler in everything about your pregnancy. Make sure they involve, for example, like bringing them to an ultrasound, bringing them to your OB appointment, reading them books about becoming a big sister or big brother helps a lot. Recently, she started saying really cute things, like she want to share things with her little sister. For example, she got some water bottles that she doesn't want anymore, and she said she want to give it to her little sister. And her daycare educators was telling us the other day that she was announcing that she's becoming a big sister, and she even told them that my little sister is gonna be in the baby room next year or something like that. But that was like the cutest thing ever. So yeah, if you are worried about introducing the second baby to your firstborn, you're not alone. I had this anxiety when I first got pregnant as well, and I was worried that she will feel left out, she would feel sad or just not accepting the second baby. But we've done our research and we try our best to involve her in the second pregnancy. Obviously, I'm still not sure how she would actually feel when the baby's here, but so far I think she's excited about it. And I do think it's important that you prep your firstborn about second baby. If you're trying to avoid it altogether, I've heard really bad stories about firstborn being jealous, not accepting the secondborn. So it's better that you just prep them earlier. So the next question I have is, will I have help this time, like a confinement lady? So for those who don't know, confinement lady is very common in Asia. So the confinement lady basically come over to your house and she will look after you postpartum for at least 30 days, as well as your baby, so you can get rest. We did think about confinement lady for our firstborn. We end up didn't get any because the prices was so crazy. It was during COVID period, so it was really hard to find someone to help, and my parents and my in-laws couldn't come because of the lockdown as well. We had a look at a few confinement lady and we just don't think it's worth the price, and we also didn't like the idea of having a stranger around the house. So me and my husband were on survival mode when we had Bella. The first 3 months, I would say we definitely very sleep deprived. We had no idea what we're doing, googling everything we can, but we managed to get through. Now that I look back, I was kind of glad that I didn't get a confinement lady because I've learned so much through those surviving days, even though it's really hard. It was really hard. But of course, this time my parents can come to help. So I'm really grateful for that. So this time I won't get any confinement lady. It's just my mom coming to help. So the last question I have is more for people in Perth, I would say, which is, where am I giving birth? I'm giving birth same place as where I gave birth to Bella, which is St. John of God, Subiaco. It's a private hospital in Perth. I don't have anything to complain the last time. In fact, everything was pretty smooth. But yeah, we had quite a good experience there last time, so we will just stick with it. And that's a wrap for my first and second trimester experience for this pregnancy. We are definitely excited for this new chapter, but also anxious at the same time, because there's a lot of adjustment with Bella starting new school as well. She's starting school next month, so now it's January 2025, so next month February she's starting a Montessori school. It's kind of like a pre-kindy, so her school, it's mainly play-based and activities based. At this age, we think she will love it more than daycare, so let's see how she goes. Thank you so much for tuning in for my little pregnancy experience. I hope it resonates with you guys somehow, or it helps if you're going through similar challenges in your pregnancy right now. So yeah, that's the end of my video, and let me know in the comments if you experienced something similar in your pregnancy, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.